Okay, can I call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the regular April meeting of the Greencastle School Board. I think maybe the first thing we need to do is I should introduce our newest board member, Megan Inman, who we chose last month to fill the remainder of Russell Harvey's term after he resigned. So welcome, Megan.
Thank you.
Okay, first item on the agenda is adjustments to the agenda, Mr. Gibbon.
Yep, I just have one minor adjustment to the agenda, and that's to add a report from the assistant superintendent this month, just to update the board on a couple of items.
Okay. We need to vote on that. No, let's
Probably just to follow.
Can I get a motion to approve the adjustments to the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next item on the agenda is public comments regarding agenda items. Is there anyone that has a comment on an agenda item? That one doesn't count. Okay, not really hearing none. Moving on, next item is recognitions, Mr. Gibbon.
Yep. Mr. Roberts.
All right, well, good evening. I have Quinn Dory with me here. He's a first grader at Ridpath, and he was nominated as our Student of the Month. So by his teacher, Mrs. Crone, who is here. So I'm going to read a few words that Mrs. Crone wrote about you, okay? Quinn is such a great first grade student. He comes in each morning ready to learn and is up for every challenge that comes his way. He gets super excited when he succeeds in meeting those challenges. Quinn is a team player and wants as much success for his friends as he does for himself. He is a problem solver and a great thinker. Whoever gets to have him in class next year will be a lucky teacher. So congratulations to Quinn.
I'd like to introduce Deer Meadows Student of the Month for March, Olivia Alexander. Olivia is a first grader in Mrs. Kuhn's class, and she is Mrs. Kuhn and Mrs. Chess are here tonight to support Olivia. Mrs. Kuhn writes, I am nominating Olivia for being a hard worker and a caretaker. Olivia is often making sure her neighbors have the materials they need, quietly making sure they're following rules, and working hard on her schoolwork as well. She has a heart for others that are struggling and wants to be a good example herself. She is kind and compassionate, and I'm thankful she's in my class. Olivia Alexander.
So I am pleased to introduce Mr. Braylon Batta here. He is a fifth grader in Mrs. Stevens' class. And Braylon was selected as Student of the Month at TZ for many reasons. First, Braylon is thoughtful and a caring friend to each of his classmates. His thoughtfulness does not stop with his peers, though. He volunteers to help the adults in our building whenever he notices that someone could use an extra hand. Braylon is kind and respectful to students and adults in our building and is a role model to all of his friends and the younger kids. Braylon is a very hard worker. He tries to do his best every day at school. His hard work and dedication is very appreciated and noticed every day. Braylon is very deserving of the Student of the Month award, and he will be missed next year when he goes to the middle school.
Hello.
Hello.
So our student of the month is not able to make it. I believe he's at golf today because he's an avid golfer. He was going to try and make it, but they weren't sure. But it's Ben Zellers. He is an 8th grader, and his teachers nominated him so that he is always cheerful and cares about everyone's well-being. He is a diligent student who works hard and completes his assignments. He's kind and friendly to everyone he meets and has a great sense of humor, as well as being an awesome golfer. And we are proud to have Ben as our middle school student of the month.
The high school would like to recognize Cesar Ernesto. He demonstrates perseverance each day. He does not waste 1 minute of any class. He's focused on the lesson of the day and focuses all of his energy into improving his reading, writing, speaking, and thinking skills. When he is learning difficult tasks, he does not hesitate to ask questions. He is engaged in the educational process and is eager to raise his hand to contribute to class discussions. Cesar is intelligent, but his perseverance helps him complete high-quality work. One example of perseverance was when we were reading Shakespeare's Julius Caesar out loud in class. It was not easy for Cesar, but he was still eagerly volunteered, and by Act 5, he was well skilled at reading and understanding. Cesar Ernesto is well deserving of the honor of perseverance nominated by Amy Thomas.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda consisting of meeting minutes, regular meeting minutes from March 20th, 2023, special meeting minutes of April 5th, 2023, the allowance of claims, the financial report, and personnel reports, parts 1 and 2, which are posted on the door and on the website. Mrs. Roman.
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, first in your finance packet, you're going to see 3 payrolls from March. That's unusual. We only have that twice a year. So the month of March, there was 3 regular payrolls. The first one was dated March 3rd, 2023, for a total payroll of $472,566.08. And as usual, we've got some retirement and taxes that come along with those payrolls for March 3rd. Total for those would be $133,366.86. Your second regular payroll was dated March 17th, 2023. Total payroll $469,321.53. And retirement and taxes for that payroll $133,429.56. And then the third and final payroll for March was March 31st, 2023, $457.30 even. Total payroll taxes and retirement was $143,744.24. Did anyone have any questions about the payrolls for March? No? Okay, we'll move on to some prepays that are dated for March 2023. Going through the list here, did anyone have any questions specifically on any prepays this month? Nope. Okay. Total prepays for the month of March, $167,545.35. And then next in your package, you're going to see a list of regular claims dated for today, April 24th. As you went through the list, did anyone have any questions in particular this month? Nope. Okay. Total claims dated today, April 24th, 2023, $429,335.11. And then next in your packet, we're going to move on to the finance report. You're going to see the fund report. The balance in education at the end of March 2023 was $3,058,814.49. And in operations, the ending balance for March 2023, $731,921.90. If you move to the very last page, and that's going to be page 11, I believe, in your packet, if you want to scroll through there. Total for all funds is $7,323,164.66. Next in your packet, if you want to compare that to your fund balance or your fund report there, you're going to see that our bank to fund is in balance at $7,323,164.66. And then you should have in your finance packet a fund transfer report. Again, any transfers I make from bank to bank are going to show up on here too. It's not necessarily really a transfer from fund, if you will, but you do see the school lunch fund transfer, and then of course the 101 to 300 transfer. So total fund transfers for March 2023 is $765,276.35. And then lastly, we've got some bond 2021 expenditures through the month of March 2023. Total expenditures at the end of February was $15,801,172.98. We had some new expenditures in March 2023. Our total expenditures out of bond 2021 is $18,784,320.40. And then you'll look down at the bottom and you'll see bond 22 expenditures. There were no bond expenditures in March for bond 2022. So pending any questions, I'd like to submit for approval.
I make the motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is reports. And first report would be from Assistant Superintendent. Thank you, Dr. Mason.
All right. So I just wanted to update you since I was approved in March. So my priority has still maintained the middle school staff and students, but I've taken time to start stepping into my new role. I have met with each of the counselors and the principals, as well as Mrs. Sullivan, to just talk about our building strengths and challenges, and then how we are going to work together to overcome those for our kiddos. I also have been working with the Reading Adoption Committee to come to a decision, which you'll have tonight, for our new reading curriculum. And I think it's the best decision, and I've appreciated all of the input that the teachers have given throughout this entire process. And I'm working on securing professional development and training for the new reading adoption, as well as our new math adoption for grades 6 through 9 to happen over the summer, so that our teachers are prepared and supported by the time August gets here. And then finally, in anticipation of the new Fab Lab at the high school, we're sending a group of high school teachers as well as a few middle school teachers to that Fab Lab Institute in Chattanooga, so that they can work together and do some interdisciplinary things once the high school Fab Lab is open, and more of those opportunities at the middle school.
Great. Thank you. Next item is superintendent's report, Mr. King.
Yeah, so I'll be brief this month, but just a couple of items. We had on the 18th and 20th, we had kindergarten roundup at Deer Meadow and also at Red Path. And we saw a lot of good numbers, or families coming out to register their future kindergartners. So in taking a look at that, we kind of feel like our numbers are trending pretty much within past years. So we expect another good group of kindergartners come fall. You might have seen in the paper we had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Yolanda, we had Greencastle High School is advancing 4 teams to the state competitions for the state academic Super Bowl. So we continue to do an awesome job with that, and hopefully we'll add to the number of teams that won a state championship, and only add to our lead, because we still lead the state, I believe, in the number of state champion academic Super Bowl teams. So that's something for our staff and our community to continue to be proud of. In the personnel report, we had a retirement. So Mrs. Thomas, Mrs. Amy Thomas, I'd like to thank her for everything that she's done for our students in our school, and just make note of that. And at the same time, Mrs. Kuhn, so Ashley Kuhn, really jumped in and took over a first grade classroom in kind of a difficult time, just after the start of the school year, and really has done a great job with her first grade class. And she'll be leaving us at the end of the school year, but I'd like to thank her for filling in for us in that role. And then just the final item at the end of your financial packet, I shared with you just a quarterly update on where we're trending in the education fund and the operations fund compared to years past. So overall, financial outlook for continuing to trend well and continue to move things in the right direction.
Great. Good. Thanks. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business, and we have no old business. So next item is new business. The first item is an approval request for special services. I think we could probably approve these all together. First is the 2023-2024 assistant to the school psychologist services contract with Jamie Landry. The 2023-24 blind and low vision services contract with Paula Bernston. 2023-24 Stepping Stones Group School Psychologist with Dr. Ayat. 2023-24 physical therapy contract with Sycamore Services. Mr. Gibbon.
Yep. So it's just the time of year to renew some of these independent contractor agreements for next school year, and so it would be my recommendation the board approve those contracts so we can continue to provide services to our students.
I make a motion that we pass those 4 contracts.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for permission to hire summer bus cleaners.
Yep. So as is customary, in order to get the buses ready for inspection, Mr. Clearwaters is seeking some additional help, and it would be my recommendation that we allow him to hire some extra help so we can get our buses ready for inspection and the return of students in the fall.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for Tiger Cub Travel Discover Costa Rica Spring Break 2025. Mr. Gibney.
Yes. So as is the case with the travel in 2024, I can't remember exactly where we're headed in spring break of 2024.
Mediterranean coast.
Thank you. The Mediterranean coast. This is a similar type of trip with the same group, obviously following our policies and procedures. And so we'd like to be able to offer another opportunity to our kids. Spring break 2025. Obviously, in your packet is all the criteria and all the information, and this would allow those students and families plenty of time to plan, to save money away, and it would be my recommendation that the board allow our group to travel to Costa Rica in spring break 2025.
The board members are spotted to go with that, right?
Of course.
I like it.
What will you be doing? Well,
So we're assuming the Europe trip next summer was such a success that it's, you want to get started on this. 37. How many? Remember, you were hoping for 35. Is that about right?
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the full itinerary, going on. Our Mediterranean coast trip that we picked was more like history and language immersion. This is flipping. Costa Rica is more like the science and the culture. So it's a little bit different than the other trip. We're kind of going to offer kind of back and forth every year.
Mhm.
Easter European, which is more pricey, and then following you, we a little bit more taking them down to Central.
Here at the Mediterranean trip, we're hitting each of our foreign languages.
We are.
And that was kind of planned that way.
This one has more like a science vibe to it. Coffee plantation, and more of a chocolate farm, like how it's done.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you very much.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Over. That'd be fun.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. And thank you guys very much for taking this on. That's great. Next item on the agenda is an approval request for the Chartwell renewal for 23-24.
And that is actually Chartwells. So Chartwells is our food service management company.
Tony.
And if you might remember, when we decided to move forward with Chartwells, essentially it's a 4-year term, but it's 4 1-year renewals. And so we've kind of met the time to where it's time to renew them for the 23-24 school year, and we are happy with their services and the food and nutritious meals and the options and expertise they bring to the table for our students. And so, be my recommendation that the board approve this request.
I hear good things, so I will make the motion to renew the contract for another year.
And I'm hearing a lot of good things as well, so I will second that.
Okay, any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next is an approval request for an overnight high school volleyball camp to Ball State University.
Yeah. So as this is in-state, but it's overnight, it requires board approval. In your board packet, they've submitted the itinerary, all the information, and obviously there'll be proper supervision. And so it would be my recommendation that the board approve this request as presented.
I make a motion that we accept. Looks pretty cool.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next is an approval request for the lease for staff devices.
Yep. So it is time to. Earlier this year, we replaced some of our devices, the desktops, in some of our remaining computer labs, and some of our areas where they require more traditional desktop. And now it's time to replace our staff, some of our central office staff, some of our secretaries. Time to replace their devices with laptop devices. Corey's done a great job and has gone out and secured some different quotes on the devices. And essentially, he found the best one with Dell, and we're proposing that we do a 4-year lease on the devices, so 48-month lease with $1 purchase option at the end. He's gone through and fine-tuned the numbers as far as how many we need, because we've had some staff members that we haven't replaced, and so we're not purchasing devices for them. But this will give our staff good opportunity or good option. They could take their laptops home and work from home when needed. And it would be my recommendation that the board allow us to move forward with purchasing these devices, hopefully before any more cost increases. Since we've noticed that things are more costly than they used to be. So we're looking at an annual lease payment of $72,149.79, and we have that money budgeted in our operations budget.
These are ones you think we
Education
need?
budget, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a similar device to what they have now. Right now they have HP. This is a Dell.
Well, I make a motion that we buy the computers.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next item is an approval request for reading adoption.
Yes, I'm going to pass this off to Becky.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yes. So after almost this entire school year, we've been working as a reading committee. We started with looking at 4 different curriculums, narrowed it down to 2. Teachers went into their classrooms, piloted the lessons, came back and debriefed. We've had different discussions with those companies and their reps, what kind of PD is available. And so I'm requesting for your approval the adoption of our Amplify CKLA option.
So this will go K through 5, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I assume it's on the computer, but are there actual physical books we're also going to use?
Yes, so the students will have a consumable that they'll get each year.
Okay.
And this was a clear favorite of the staff.
Yes.
Okay.
When the staff tried it out,
Mhm.
every program's going to have holes in it, right? Are you guys working to fill those holes?
Yes, so we use OG for our skills, which is that phonics portion, and we're not going to go with their skills. So now we're looking at how to balance that. So that's kind of our next step with that. We actually had a PD with us this afternoon, with Jamie Keebler, so making those steps now.
So one of the things I asked the teachers to do with both curriculums were to point out the strengths and also those challenges or things that they might need in order to implement successfully. And the teachers helped develop some of those solutions. Because obviously with anything, there are going to be pros and cons. And so she and the administrators have done a good job of taking a look at those things. And obviously we want to plan for a successful implementation. So we're going to support that, whether it be PD, that's going to be the primary things, the PD, the ongoing.
Okay. Sounds good.
Sorry, Mike. This will be ready for next year. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds good. Thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions?
Feels good to have an actual curriculum based for our kids and teachers.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
You guys say what company you're going with?
CKLA Amplify.
Okay, next item on the agenda is an approval request for some donations, which we can approve all together. First, Putnam County Community Foundation to Greencastle High School Band in the amount of $737.47. Next is the McDonald's McTimber to Greencastle High School Decade in the amount of $1,000. And Dennis and Emily Knuth to the Greencastle High School Art Department in the amount of $500. Not much discussion needed here. Can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we gladly accept all donations.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Last item on the agenda is some first readings of the 2023-24 building handbooks.
Yeah, so no action necessary this month, but it's just the time of year to continue to prepare for next school year. So those were in your board packet for first reading, and we'll bring those back for second reading and your approval next month. And then allow us enough time to have them printed for next year.
And I don't know if this is the right time to bring this up or not, but and I apologize, I haven't asked you about this before. Are we looking at our late start Mondays and whether or not they're being used efficiently, or if we're going to make a change? Talking about the handbooks, I think that would be in the handbook. I don't know when the time to do that is.
Yeah, at this point right now, we're not planning any major changes, but obviously it's a goal to always utilize our time to the best of our ability, and I know that our staff has found that time to be valuable, and we're continuing to work to fine-tune our efforts. Because quite honestly, meeting time with staff is very limited with contract time, and especially being able to get whole groups together or grade levels together. We still face shortages with substitute teachers. We obviously don't want teachers to be out of the classroom, and then you miss out on instruction. So that time is valuable, especially when considering, the reading adoption and the math adoption. That can be an opportune time to provide PD for teachers to get together and curriculum math and plan. So at this time, there's no major plans to overhaul or revise anything.
I would just like us to look into the future 3-4 years and just see, or would it be better to have a whole day where people could get in depth? I don't know, but just something to think about.
Sure. Yep. We're always evaluating what we do.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Last item on the agenda is other business. Does anyone have any other business? Guess not. So there's no other business. Last item on the agenda is adjournment.
I make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. So thank you for coming. Good evening, and see you next month. Right, folks.